Queens, I am so honored you are here, and I want to welcome you to the Empower Her Steps Virtual Conference 2025. I created this space for women like us, women who are ready to grow, heal, lead, and rise. I want you to know that you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to have it all figured out to take your next bold step. My name is Angelina Mojica, and I'm the proud founder of Empower Her Steps. Born and raised in Lubbock, Texas, I've always had a deep love for family, community, and seeing others thrive. I'm a certified family life educator, a life coach, and a fierce advocate for those who are navigating tough seasons but still believe in what is possible. For the past 10 years, I've worked in child welfare and community service. I help launch programs that serve the community in West Texas, and I've helped lead foster care programs in Texas. In 2022, I followed a God-led calling and founded this nonprofit, Empower Her Steps, with a mission to bring women together to support, guide, and empower one another to become the best version of ourselves. Now, I've taken another leap of faith and currently serve in South Carolina as the Associate Vice President over Programs and Services for Connie Maxwell Children's Ministries. My journey has taken many twists, but I've learned that each chapter holds purpose, even the ones that hurt. I'm also a proud mother of 3 adult children who have blessed me with 3 grandbabies, and they are my greatest joy and motivation. I want you to know this. Your story is not over. Your age, your past, your current situation, none of it disqualifies you from living a life full of purpose and power. You were made for more. This conference is your reminder, your recharge, your next step. So let's dive in together. Let's learn, laugh, grow, reflect. Welcome to the Empower Her Steps Conference 2025, where your power isn't found in perfection, but in your persistence, passion, and purpose. Let's rise. Hello, everyone. Get ready to be inspired by a woman who is living proof that God's timing is always right. And it's never too late to chase your dreams, no matter your age or stage in life. Our next speaker is a true powerhouse in leadership and influence. Debbie Cunningham is known for helping women walk boldly in their God-given authority with a strong background in communications and ministry. She delivers transformational messages that are deeply rooted in faith, purpose, and personal growth. Today, she's here to remind us that our age does not define our potential and that your next chapter could be your most powerful yet. Whether you're stepping out of your comfort zone, starting over, or just finding your voice, Debbie is here to ignite the fire within you. Please welcome the unstoppable, faith-filled force that is Debbie Cunningham.
Following your dreams is like laundry. If you don't do it now, the pile just gets bigger, and suddenly you're buried under the weight of everything you never got around to. But seriously, how many of us have put our dreams on hold so long that we forget they're even there? Today, I want to remind you that your dreams matter. You matter. Have you ever put a dream on hold so long that you convinced yourself that maybe it wasn't meant for you anymore? I was turning 40 when I had that moment. As many of us do in midlife, I was reflecting on everything that I had accomplished and everything I still want to accomplish. I had so many things that I wanted to pursue. You see, I had pushed pause on my aspirations to have a professional music career, to stay at home and raise my 2 kids. But now I was turning 40, and it had been a decade. And I started to question, is it too late for me now? I mean, I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, and actually, I was for a season. But then I realized I was slowly losing a piece of myself. But what if pressing pause actually wasn't the problem? What if never pushing play again was? Many women feel guilty for pursuing their dreams or pursuing personal growth. Society teaches us as women, not just moms, to put everyone else first. Kids, spouse, career, other people's needs, your family, church, schools. But at what cost? Because there is a cost to ignoring your dreams. Suppressed dreams can foster resentment, frustration, and even burnout. Brene Brown says if we stifle and ignore our creativity instead of nurturing it, it can turn into grief, rage, and feelings of unfulfillment. And let's be honest, ladies, if left unchecked, those emotions affect everything, including our family dynamics. So, what has ignoring your dream cost you? Your confidence, your joy, your sense of purpose? I want you to think about this for a minute. What is one thing you've always wanted to do ever since you were a little girl, but you've convinced yourself that it's too late? What if instead of feeling guilty for investing in yourself, you saw it as a gift to everyone else around you? For those who don't know me, I'm Debbie Cunningham. I'm a jazz recording artist. I'm an author. I'm a speaker and a podcast host, Midlife Crescendo. But none of that happened until after the age of 40. Before that, I was a woman just like you. I had responsibilities. I was juggling life, raising a family. And just like you, I was wondering if my dreams still had a place in my story. But what I realized is if I didn't intentionally make space for my dreams, life was always going to fill the gaps for me. Now, at first, I worried about the impact on my family, that my husband and kids would suffer because of my pursuits. But just the opposite happened. My kids loved coming backstage with me and realized they still had all access to mom. They helped me sell merch at my shows and set up the shows. And in high school and college, my kids and my husband all performed with me on stage. They all had musical gifts. So by pursuing my own dreams, I was able to give them an opportunity to pursue theirs and to incorporate them into what I was doing. Even my daughter took up photography in her high school years, and her first professionally published photos are of me on stage. And beyond that, they saw their mom become an entrepreneur. They saw me working hard, not abandoning my home life, but incorporating it into our family's life and into our family's rhythm. It was no different than adjusting our schedules for their marching band, show choir, and theater schedules. The thing is, we shifted as a family to support each other. And that, my friends, is a powerful lesson. Because mom's life doesn't have to gather dust while everyone else pursues their dreams. And any woman's life doesn't have to gather dust because she's helping other people achieve their dreams. Because you were not created to be the facilitator of everyone else's dreams but your own. Are you living as the leading lady of your own life? We often think our dreams take us away from our family. But what if they actually bring us closer? What if making space for your dream would it actually enrich your life and relationships instead of harming them? Now, it's not easy. You have to be intentional. And there are moments where guilt makes you feel like maybe you shouldn't be pursuing that thing, or you're being selfish by pursuing that thing. But I promise you, you're not. I remember one time while I was taking night classes, my son, as I was tucking him into bed, said, "Mom, I kind of miss when you were just my mom, not a mom/singer." I think he was like 10 at the time. And at first I felt so much guilt, like I shouldn't be doing this. I should be at home with them. But my husband was there, and the first thing he said was, "Hey, son, Mom has given a decade to us of only serving us and taking care of what our needs are and serving us in all the things that we wanted to do. But God has given her gifts and talents He wants her to use, and we need to support her as well." And he said, "Okay." And that was the end of it. There was just that moment where I could have believed a lie that pursuing my own dreams was selfish. But again, it wasn't about pursuing dreams and abandoning my family, but incorporating my dream into our family's rhythm. It's not easy. I had to take night classes. I did homework while the kids were at school. But we made those concessions, and my husband watched the kids when I had night classes or when I started to sing professionally. I learned to say no, which was hard for me as a people-pleasing person. But I said no to not things that weren't good, but things that weren't best for our family life at the time. And here's what I learned about that. When you say no to something, you're opening up yourself to say yes to something better. And you're giving the opportunity for someone else to say yes to the thing you're saying no to. So it works both ways. Look, as women, we think we can do everything, but we can't do it all at the same time. There are seasons, and this might be your season. Look, it's not too late to pursue your dreams. What I discovered in midlife is that it's not the end. Even being a stay-at-home mom wasn't the end. And it was the perfect time to begin to dip my toe in the water and step into my purpose. And it's time for you to step into your purpose too. And I would love to help you do that. Now, often we can feel like we don't have time. And we don't need unlimited time. We just need intentional time. And sometimes we don't know where to start. I didn't know where to start. That CD hanging on the wall over there, that was my very first CD after I pursued becoming a jazz artist. You know, at age 39, when I was considering pursuing that dream, I held that album in my hand at age 41 because I took the steps to make that happen. And you can do that too. What would it mean for you to take even one step toward that dream? What if you gave yourself permission to believe it's possible? The women I work with have often felt just like you, stuck, hesitant. How am I going to balance all this? Unsure if they're too late. But I learned and I taught them a simple, proven process to move forward step by step, and everything changed. It's a roadmap to finally launch your dreams. And so I have a few resources for you I want to tell you about. One is a quiz that will help you find more clarity in your journey to uncovering your dreams. And if you go to debbiecunningham.net/quiz, you can download that quiz, take the 10 questions, and it'll help you find clarity and show you where you are on the journey and how to move to the next step. But I also have a masterclass that you can find at debbiecunningham.net/masterclass. It's a free masterclass. And there I will walk you through 4 keys that will help you begin to launch your dream. And the 4 keys are these. The acronym is DAME: decide, assess, make a plan, and execute the plan. But the truth of it is, the very first thing you have to do is decide for yourself. Decide that you are going to say yes to yourself. Decide that you're going to give yourself permission. Because honestly, that's the hardest part. We hem and haw forever about making a choice, even at a restaurant. Do I want to eat here? Do I want to eat there? But this is your dream. How long do you really want to put off your dream? Because if you keep putting it off, someday you're going to wake up and the kids are going to be grown and you're still going to be wondering why you didn't take a chance on yourself. Your dream isn't waiting for the perfect time. It's just waiting for you to say yes. So friend, what's been pulling at your heart lately? What's been tugging at your heart that you haven't given yourself permission to do? A dance class? Learning a new language? Picking up a creative hobby? It doesn't have to be a career change like mine, just something that brings you joy. Psalm 139 says, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made." God has uniquely gifted you with talents and gifts to impact the world around you, no matter what that gifting is. So what's stirring in your heart? Maybe it's time to make space for that thing. The world needs more women who say yes to their own dreams. Will you be one of them?
Get ready to take the reins and make your next career move on your terms, because the power to pivot, grow, and lead belongs to you. Our next speaker is a bold voice in the world of confidence and resilience. Tabatha Jones is a confidence coach and a resilience builder who has made it her mission to help women silence self-doubt, embrace their worth, and step into rooms like they belong. Because, friends, you do. With her heart-centered, no-fluff guidance, Tabatha empowers women to reclaim their identity, rise above fear, and make powerful career moves with clarity and confidence. Whether you're climbing the ladder, switching lanes, or creating your own seat at the table, she's here to help you own what's next and do it your way. So please welcome the dynamic and fearless Tabatha Jones, here to help you unlock your career power moves and take control of your next chapter.
Hello, ladies. I am so excited to be sharing with you today through the Empower Her Virtual Summit. I'm Tabatha Jones, the Corporate Escape Sherpa, Career Advancement and Leadership Coach, and the author of Promotion Ready in 3 Months, The Women's Guide to Career Advancement. Today, we're going to go into some quick strategies that will help you really take control of what's next when it comes to your career. We're going to be talking about midlife career power moves. Take control of what's next. Let's jump in. All right, ladies, we're going to talk about midlife career power moves. And I'm not checking ID here today, so no matter what your age, these 5 strategic moves will help you get clear, take action, and make your next career move on your own terms. And that career move could be advancement. It could be a transition. Maybe you've been dreaming of doing something different. Or it could be a corporate escape. And that means building your own business so that you can move on to something you've been dreaming about. So let's dive in. The very first strategy is setting SMART career goals. Ladies, you set goals for your team, you set goals maybe for your family, but do you ever set SMART career goals? This is really important in helping you achieve those big dreams. Now, SMART, just as a refresher, it is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So specific, of course, defining exactly what you want. Is it a promotion? Is it a career change? Do you want to own your own business? Is it measurable? How will you track that progress? Include numbers and details. Is it achievable? Will you be able to stretch yourself, but also stay realistic? We want to break those big goals into smaller steps so that they don't become so overwhelming, they just end up on the back burner again and again and again. You want your goals to be relevant, so making sure that it aligns with your values and your long-term vision. And making sure that it's time-bound is critical. Setting a deadline. A goal without a time frame is really just a dream, right? That's how we sit in positions for so long, or we sit in a job for so long and never take action. It's because we never really set that deadline. And I know that you don't always have control over the deadline. You may not know when the job's going to post or become available. You may not know when you want to leave corporate and lean into your own business full time. That's okay. Circle a date on the calendar so you have something to march toward, so that you'll be prepared when that day gets here. So that is strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 comes down to calendar management. You've got to manage your calendar like a boss. I talk a lot about how men are really good at making time for themselves on their calendars. Women overlook it. We get on the hamster wheel. We're so busy doing everything for everyone, every time, that we forget that we need to be the managers of our own calendars, which means blocking time for your priorities. That could be 30 or 60 minutes a day to work on advancement activities that get you closer to your goal. And you need to treat these blocks as though they're non-negotiable meetings. I get it. You're busy. You're in a corporate life. I know. I was there. I was you. Sometimes you'll have to give a little bit. But don't forget to take when you have that opportunity, and block your calendar as much as possible so that you're making yourself a priority. Block time for visibility. A lot of you may find yourselves working really hard behind the scenes, supporting everyone in the trenches with your team, but not taking that time to pop your head up and make sure that people know what you're truly capable of. It's a fine balance, right? We're a team. You're a great leader. You want to take care of your people. You want to highlight them. But if you want to advance your career or start planning for what's next, you also need to be very visible, and people need to understand the impact you're having. So setting time to prepare helps you feel more confident speaking up in meetings, or sharing your ideas, or finding creative solutions to problems, or having conversations with leaders at your company who may not know you very well, who might become sponsors or mentors for you. Schedule time for learning activities. I know I say weekly. I know the reality is you don't have time every week, but sometimes just listening to a quick podcast or reading a quick article, an industry news article, or something that just helps you grow and get closer to your goal is something that's just quick and easy, but you want to make sure you're banking in time for learning. Now, I'm going to caveat that by saying you don't need another degree. You don't need another certificate. You don't need the alphabet soup behind your name. I'm saying intentionally spend time working on the skills that will support you in your goal. This may be based on feedback. This may be based on an area of opportunity that you're aware of. This may be based on something that you're working to get better at. Block time for yourself to focus on learning and growing. And then connection time. Make sure you're scheduling time for networking conversations, coffee breaks, attending industry events. Those relationships are literally your career currency. And I won't tell you how many times I've shown up at a networking event and most of the women were missing because my boss scheduled a meeting. Well, guess what? Everyone's boss schedules a meeting, but it's okay for you to say, I have a conflict at that time. Is it possible to reschedule, or may I send a delegate? Own your power and be assertive in protecting that time. People need to know your name and they need to know what you can do. And when you manage your calendar like a boss, this will all fall into place. Strategy 3 is owning your unique value. I'm looking at you right now, and I'm going to ask you to tell me, what is your unique value? Basically, what makes you stand out from your competition? I know that I can answer that question, but it took a lot of practice. So my recommendation for you is to get really clear on that value. You should identify your impact. Have a list of projects where you delivered exceptional results or received exceptional feedback. Quantify your value. So adding numbers wherever you can makes those achievements even stronger. Think about dollars, percents, employee impact, those types of things, and that will help you further elevate and quantify your value. Look for patterns. If you're not really sure what you're good at, or maybe you're multi-talented, you're good at a lot of things, but you want to bring it in a bit so that you can tell your story really well, look for areas of recurring strengths across the different roles and projects that you've worked in. And then craft your story. I know as soon as I say these words, you should have an elevator pitch. Half of you are rolling your eyes, and that's okay. Think of it as your story. It's really that compelling story about your unique contributions that help you stand out from your competition and help others understand what you do and why you're so valuable. And then test your message. I always say practice it with anyone you trust, trusted colleagues, friends, family, my dog. I talk to my dog all the time, though she gives me no feedback. But share it with those trusted people so that you can get feedback and make refinements, but also so you can build confidence. Because no matter what you do in this journey, confidence is critical to your success. Remember, experience, it's not just years of experience, it's the impact you've had during those years of experience. Your unique value is what makes you invaluable no matter what career move you decide to make. Our fourth strategy is get visible and leverage relationships. I know I touched on this a little bit in the calendar space, but this is a whole strategy in itself. You've got to be visible. I know during the pandemic, when a lot of people went to remote working who weren't used to it, they stayed kind of behind the scenes, no cameras, no real great conversations, no proactive outreach. We're past that. And whether you work in a remote role, a hybrid role, or you're in the office, finding opportunities to get visible and truly leverage relationships will set you up for success in anything you do. So, getting strategic with your visibility, finding opportunities to share your insights in meetings, volunteering for cross-functional projects, speaking at industry events. You also should make connections with mentors, seeking guidance from people who've walked in your path. Mentors are usually people who are 1 to 2 steps ahead of you, whether it's in their career, whether it's building their business. But those insights can save you years of time where you're just trying to figure it out on yourself. Don't be afraid to connect with mentors and ask them to mentor you. You also need to find sponsor relationships. These are the advocates who will champion for you when you're not in the room. I was a busy hiring manager, a corporate executive for more than 20 years. And I will tell you, I have been in those rooms where conversations have come up that so-and-so is leaving to pursue another job, or so-and-so was promoted and now we have an opening. Who's next in line? I've also seen it when a person's name came out in the room and no one else knew who she was. It didn't go well. You need to make sure that people who don't work closely with you also know who you are. So think about who are 6 leaders at your current company who don't know you very well. And then consider scheduling an informational interview or conversation with each of them so that you can talk to them about what they do. Have some very intentional questions, but then also be ready to share your story about who you are and what your goals are. And then network expansion. You want to build relationships before you need them. And an example of that is someone who's suddenly laid off, who hasn't reached out to anybody on LinkedIn, but now there's a desperation, a frenzy, and just a minor freak out of reaching out to everybody that they can find. That's really awkward and uncomfortable on both ends. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying it can be really awkward, where if you work on intentionally building those relationships before you need them, It makes for a lot stronger relationships. And again, you're able to move a lot faster. My last strategy is ask for what you want. A lot of times people will have a conversation, but they'll come away and not ask for what they want. So I want you to think about what is it you want to get from each conversation or interaction before you go in. Really documenting your contributions, tying them to business objectives, practicing that pitch until it feels natural. Then schedule the conversation. Request a specific meeting time. Be really clear about the purpose so the person you're meeting with has time to prepare. And again, this works really well with informational interviews. Hey, I'm working on my career goals. I'd love to learn more about you, what you do, and how you got there, as well as solicit some advice. It's a really simple conversation starter. Then you want to make that clear ask. Be specific about what you want. Avoid vague hints and just that really ambiguous kind of conversation. State your desired outcome directly. Wow, this has been a really great conversation. Would it be okay for me to schedule time on your calendar next month so that we can follow up and talk about what I've learned, what I've tried, and get more advice? Or, this conversation was so valuable. Is there someone else you can introduce me to who can help me continue moving forward on my path? Think about what you really want and ask for it. A lot of times we assume people know. They don't know. And then be ready to handle the response. You may get a yes, no, or a maybe. People are busy, and it's not always about you when they say no or not at this time. So that's a good opportunity to have some follow-up questions and be ready for the next steps. So let's say you ask somebody to be your mentor and they say, I really don't have time. Thank you so much for considering this. Is there someone in your network that you can introduce me to who may be a good fit based on what you know about me? Have that ready to go. So using those 5 strategies will help you move forward, whether it's coming in for career advancement, asking for a pay increase that you deserved for many years over but haven't received, maybe transitioning your career into something new, or launching a business. These 5 strategies will make a huge difference for you. Now, it's your career, so it's your move. I love to leave a little challenge or homework. So I want you to start today. Think about which power move resonates the most and take one small action within the next 24 hours. Next, build momentum. Small, consistent actions create those powerful results. So schedule your next 3 moves now. They don't have to be tomorrow or the next day, but maybe over the next month or 6 weeks. Find support. Share your SMART goal with someone who can help hold you accountable. We always achieve more when we work together. And celebrate your progress. I want you to acknowledge every step you make forward because that's courageous and confident, and you deserve that recognition. Your career is not on autopilot. It is not in someone else's hands. It is 100% in your hands. And again, that's whether you're advancing, transitioning, or escaping. Making these strategic moves now will create massive momentum. Now, if you're ready to accelerate your career transformation, I actually wrote the book on promotion readiness. Would love to have you pop on over to Amazon and check it out if this sounds like a great option for you. And also would love to connect. Here is my LinkedIn handle. You can schedule a complimentary consultation so we can talk about the strategies, what's working for you, and where you may need a little bit of support. Or you can send me an email. I'd love to hear your takeaway from today and how you're going to use it to achieve those next power moves. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening, and it's been a pleasure serving you here at the Empower Her Virtual Summit. Take care.
What drives you? What fuels your goals? Our next speaker believes the secret to empowered success lies in understanding your own motivation and how it shapes the way you show up in your work, your relationships, and your dreams. Linda Love Lemos, MPS, is an author, speaker, and podcaster who blends academic depth with heart-led wisdom. She's a firm believer that love is the foundation for all thriving relationships, including the one you have with your career. In today's message, Linda invites us to reflect inward, reconnect with our purpose, and realize that how we motivate ourselves directly impacts how we engage with others and reach our goals. She's here to show us how clarity, compassion, and authenticity aren't just soft skills, they're power moves that elevate achievement. So get ready to tune into your internal drive and unlock the truth that empowered women empower their goals. Please welcome the inspiring voice of Linda Love Lemos.
Wonderful. I'm so ecstatic to be part of Empower Her. And what could I bring to the table? And I thought about this actually this morning while I was trying to bike at the gym and trying to keep a balance of being a podcaster and being a speaker and book author and actually current student as well. And it's definitely a balance. And it's not an equal balance, but you do what you have to do and you get things done. But speaking on that, how can I empower her? And it's so interesting. It's whatever career you choose, I truly do believe it is more difficult for women to aspire. It's more difficult for women to have a career that they're proud of sometimes. We have many obstacles with regards to being a woman and having a career. One of the obstacles sometimes is societal. The second obstacle sometimes is gender norms or cultural norms that we are presented to and presented by. And third sometimes is the opposition. Now, regardless of who you are in this world, whether you are male or female, you will always have opposition. The opposition can appear from anywhere and can appear within your own coworkers, your colleagues, sometimes your bosses. And navigating through opposition is actually what makes you greater. We will all face adversity, but it is how we educate ourselves on how to face this adversity throughout our careers. Opposition sometimes is a coworker, spreading false rumors about you in order to harm your reputation at work. Opposition can be when your supervisor doesn't want to allow you to apply for a higher position within the company, or to seek a reference. That is also opposition. It is important, though, that regardless of what opposition you choose, that you don't choose the opposition that you obtain, keep in mind that your navigation through this process is your survival, believe it or not. So how do you navigate? Well, first, I learned how to deal with difficult individuals and difficult people. And there is a book on that with regards how to deal with difficult coworkers or difficult people. And once you learn to take away the self-doubt and the self-blame and really realize that it is the other individual, it's not you. Some people do have mental health diseases. Some people do have substance abuse. And we all go to work and we go to work with individuals who are flawed. And we are all flawed in different ways. However, it's really interesting because the greater the opposition that I felt and have gone through, it made me a better person. But also, how do I empower her? Right? How do I empower you? That's a great question. And I will let you know that you have to have a career plan. Not anybody else, but you have to have a career plan. Every 5 years, ask yourself, am I happy with what I'm doing? Do I feel fulfilled? And does it pay my bills? Believe it or not, yes, money does matter. The longer, many times that you stay at a job, the less you're being paid, because many times your raise does not reflect the current standard and cost of living. So I think that's number one. two, how do I empower her? So that's a great question again. So how do I answer that? Learning, learn from other people. And I think when you learn, you also learn to admire, have admiration for other individuals, and tell yourself, well, what I like about them, how can I have that for myself, right? What can I learn from them? How can I emulate and then become truly who I want to be and become myself and add that to my professional skills or to my speaking skills? What I think the greatest thing that you can have is actually admiration. I think so many people get lost in this world with being jealous and envious. Jealousy and envious brings the attention to the other person, when in reality, your attention always needs to be on yourself, on how you take care of yourself, on your health, and on your own personal goals and your personal triumphs. So I think that's really imperative. I have a lot of people that I admire and that I'm learning from, but I realize that they will do things the way they do, and I am here to learn. And hopefully what I learn from them, like other speakers, other book authors, will make me a better speaker and a better book author. So I think that's very imperative. We live in such a world that's highly competitive, and that the competition, there are extremely competitive individuals that will backstab or will create chaos or will manipulate and all these negative things, especially at work, when in reality, there's no need for that. When you operate on a higher level and a higher frequency, you truly understand that the only competition you have is yourself, and that you are part of the University of Life. And with the University of Life, you are here to progress, you are here to learn, and you are here to share and to give to others, which I think in a lot of career stories and empowerment, we forget about others, right? We forget to ask someone to the table to join us for lunch. We forget to buy someone else a coffee. We forget to perhaps even go through our closet and see what doesn't fit us or doesn't work with us anymore, doesn't fit us anymore, and to be able to donate to those who are in need of clothing. I think that's imperative. That's holistic and a full circle. It's not so much about how much money you make. Sadly, I've had to work with a lot of CEOs and CFOs and Fortune 500 leaders, and sadly, they are sad. They have sad lives. Some of them are so focused on just the money portion of their career that that's all they see. They don't have friends. They don't have a significant other that cares about them. They know nothing about charity. They believe that charity is not necessary, and they look down upon people who are in need of charity. And that's why they sometimes are many times empty. And as Linda Love, and as as a speaker, I encourage people to not just strive for their goals, but also to strive to do good things for their community, their local neighborhood, and to participate in the politics of their neighborhood if they can, to encourage their voice and to give back. And also to be able to, if you've attended college, if you learned a trade, to be able to use the college or what you learned in trade for the benefit of others, individuals as well. And don't ever expect that the person you served will return the favor or will return the good. Expect that the universe and the powers that be, and as I like to call them, will give that back to you. So never think that one good act is actually a bad act, or that your good act is not seen by the universe. What else? To empower her. Many times in your career, I'll tell a story real quick. For a long time, I was administrative assistant, and I did that for about 7, maybe 10 years. And I always wanted to be an executive assistant. And I applied to many, many jobs, and they would say, no, you don't have the experience. Your college experience should just say on campus. No one cares if you went to college online. I would have these horrible negative feedbacks. But at the end of the day, even though it hurt to hear those types of things, didn't know what I knew. And what I knew was that I had to move up. I had to seek a higher title and a higher pay rate because I had to pay my own bills. I had no one else to pay my bills. And it's so interesting that all this negative feedback that I received. However, 2 years passed by and I became an executive assistant for a retail manufacturer, for a retail company, for their home office. And my dream of becoming an executive assistant came true. And I loved it. I loved it for the salary. It was a wonderful salary, twice of the amount I was being paid as an admin, and being able to pay your rent and pay your necessities without having to worry was such a relief, you know? So I think it's also about having in your mind what you're going to do and manifesting it as well. And figuring out, okay, what door do I need to knock and what door has to open in order for me to succeed? Again, I did not give up. I was resilient, even with all the negative feedback of HR, human resources people and recruiters tell me I can never become an executive assistant. When in reality, I was an executive assistant and I also became an office administrator. That time passed by, and then I decided to attend grad school, which has been a wonderful opportunity for me. But also, it was not easy because I couldn't always count on my family. I also had negative feedback from my family. They didn't understand exactly what I was doing. And a lot of us will have dreams that our family members or our friends do not understand. And I will tell you, do it anyway. It doesn't matter. Many times when you have very bold, very large dreams, you are the trailblazer in your family. Don't worry, in a few years, they will call you and ask you how you did it. So many times, our dreams that we have in our heart and we have in our minds is absolutely personal. With regards to support, I would tell you that to continue on to your journey. And while you're continuing on to your next goal, your next pay rate, your next title in your life with regards to your career, you will have to let go of some friends that don't believe in your success, and you will have to make new friends. And those friends that you will come across, you'll see that it's almost a bit of a relief because many times they're doing the same things that you're doing. They can understand you fully. They can even give you advice because they already are where you want to be. And I think that's so imperative, especially when you're an adult. I feel that many times when you're in high school or your college, undergraduate, you have a lot of friends because of the proximity, because you're always in class together, or you're in a club, or you're in a sport. And so those folks become your friends. And as you become an adult, friendship becomes a little bit different. But I feel that always have individuals that push you to be greater, that encourage you, and that do not compete with you. I think that's number one. As adults, we are all just, trying to work and provide for ourselves and our family members. There is a great deal of resilience that is needed in our careers. And resilience doesn't mean that you're not going to go through anything. You have to go through stuff. You have to go through, unemployment, or losing a loved one, or having a boss that's a bully, sadly. I wish most of us didn't have those type of events or misfortunes. And you will have to go through sometimes sickness or a medical diagnosis. And even though those things are meant to create a stall, or create some type of, I guess, like a wall with regards to our dreams, that does not mean that you should stop. Those are just obstacles in our way, but what makes us stronger is how resilient we are. It's how fast we can bounce back, even from a disappointment or a disease, or many times when you're rejected. And rejection is one of the hardest things many times to endure, but also to learn from. You know, we all face rejections, and many times we face rejections from work, from a school application. But also know, just because someone or an institution said no to you, doesn't mean that you should stop, and it doesn't mean that you're on the right path. It means that you need to continue and continue until you have exhausted all your efforts. So I truly do believe these are some great words of wisdom in order to empower her. That concludes how to empower her. And I think that's really what it is. It's to be resilient and to go through stuff and to learn from everything that we go through and to keep our goals in mind and to learn how to achieve those goals.
What if the way you dress isn't just about style, but a reflection of your inner identity? Our next speaker is here to show us how fashion can be more than fabric. It can be your voice, your confidence, and your story. Maren Swenson is known for her gentle yet powerful insight, helping women navigate life's transitions with grace, clarity, and strength. Through her storytelling and encouragement, she reminds us that every season of life deserves to be embraced and expressed. Today, Maren brings us a fresh perspective how what you wear can be a bold, beautiful outward expression of who you believe you are in the world, whether you're stepping into a new role, healing from a past chapter, or redefining your future. Your look can speak your truth before you even say a word. So get ready to rethink your wardrobe and realign it with your worth. Please welcome the ever-inspiring Maren Swenson.
Hi, my name is Maren Swenson. I'm an intuitive stylist and life coach, and I help women break free from the rules, the expectations, and all the old stories that keep us small so that we can show up as our most radiant, fully expressed selves. A little bit about me. I'm a Leo through and through, a life path 8, and I love standing out, pushing so-called limits, and inspiring others to do the same. I've never been one to blend in, like whether it's in the way I dress, the way I think, or even the way I live. I've been married to my second husband, the love of my life, for about 7 years. And between us, we have 6 kids, 3 from his first marriage, 2 from mine, and then 1 little caboose we made together. So to say my life is full is kind of an understatement, but it's so wonderfully full. I haven't always felt as bold and free as I do now. In my 20s, I spent years trying to be like, quote, the good girl, playing by the rules, staying really small, and just really trying to mold myself into what I thought I was supposed to be. And then around the time I turned 30, my entire world just like flipped upside down. My first marriage, which had been on the brink of disaster for a long time, was just done. It fell apart, and in the midst of all that upheaval is when I met the love of my life, and he was the person who saw me in a way I hadn't seen myself maybe ever. He woke up a part of me that had been dormant for so long, the part that was expressive and alive and confident and deeply sensual. And that awakening sent me on a journey of self-trust, self-expression, and reclaiming my power. And one of the biggest ways I express that power is through fashion and style, which I'm so excited to get into my presentation today. Clothing isn't just fabric, it's energy. It's a tool we can use to embody the most confident, magnetic, badass version of ourselves. And that's exactly what I want for you, is to be able to step into your own power, own your presence, and wear your truth unapologetically. Because when you dress like the woman you're meant to be, you become her. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about. It's style as your secret superpower. A lot of times in the kind of self-development, personal progress world, we spend a lot of time working on ourselves, right? We're focused on what we eat. We're focused on how we run our businesses. We're focused on our relationships, and we're supporting ourselves in so many areas. And then as women, we tend to kind of like stop short of the final piece of expression, the icing on the cake, which is style and fashion. We have all these weird stories and limiting beliefs around it not being okay to invest in yourself, and it being vain and shallow and superfluous to like really think about your clothing choices and love it. And to me, how you show up in the world is a reflection of what's happening internally. And it's really like the deepest form of self-love is to let yourself show up in every way and not stop yourself short. So I want you to ask yourself, have you ever put on an outfit that made you feel unstoppable? If you're having a hard time with that one, think of the opposite. A time where you put on an outfit and felt silly or out of place or not quite like yourself, or like you wore the wrong thing, or you picked something out because of what you thought you should wear, but then you weren't really comfortable. That happens to us all the time, because when we dress in alignment with ourselves, we are magnetic and we shine out. And when we don't dress in alignment with ourselves, we feel that energetically. It's like, ugh, right? People will see your energy before they see your clothes. And when they see your clothes, they feel your energy. So if you're wearing something that feels amazing and like the true you, that makes you feel beautiful and confident and in control, that's what people will, quote, see and feel when they look at you in your clothing. So again, it's really not about the clothes. It's about what those clothes mean to you and how you wear them. Conversely, when you show up in something out of alignment and there's just a little something off for you, they will feel that as well. And they just won't get the full scope of your awesomeness, and you won't feel the full scope of your awesomeness, right? So every color, every texture, every silhouette you wear carries an energy. And whether you realize it or not, your style is always sending a message to yourself foremost, and then to the world. So I want you to think about what you wear most often. Imagine those clothes appearing on your body in the mirror, and then ask yourself, do I usually reflect my fullest self in my clothing? Or is what I'm wearing blending in, hiding, or shrinking, or just off from who I am? Do my clothes feel like armor, like obligation, or are they like an extension of my joy? Imagine your younger self, that child girl who had big dreams and didn't know the word limits, who still thought that mom and dad could fix everything, right? And we grew up and realized that wasn't the case. So imagine your younger self watching you get dressed each morning. And what would she think? Are you demonstrating and expressing all those dreams and hopes that little girl had? Would she feel inspired by how you've shown up? Or would she feel like maybe you've lost some of the magic? It's never too late to get it back, by the way. So here's this is me, all these pictures. Here's a collection of some things I've worn over the last year. All different styles, all different levels of glamour and formality. And the thing is, I actually felt the same in each outfit. The reason is because I was listening to my body and my intuition on these days. I try to listen to it every day, but let's face it, we're human, so I don't get to it every day, right? Even in the outfit on the bottom left, where I'm in jeans and an oversized sweatshirt, which is not usually my style. But that particular day, I remember this day. I really needed the coziness, and I needed that subdued blue shade that was soothing and calm. I was having like some panic and some anxiety. I had some hormonal stuff going on. I just took an IUD out, and it's been a doozy on my body. And so I really needed that. And so how we dress tells a story about our confidence, our self-respect, and our authenticity. And when I say confidence, I found some definitions of confidence that I love. The state of feeling certain about the truth of something, or a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. That's a mouthful. Now, please, I know we all want to feel that. We all want to feel certain about who we are, and we want to feel our truth hint, our truth is that we are inherently beautiful and valuable and amazing. I know we all want to feel self-assured because we are appreciating our own qualities, right? That's the pinnacle. But how can we expect others to appreciate us, our beauty, our abilities, our hearts? Like, how can we expect that in romantic relationships or in familial relationships if we don't appreciate ourselves, if we don't give ourselves that same grace, right? Everything we do, including how we dress, is a projection of what's happening inside. And so when I put on an outfit that celebrates who I am rather than hiding it, I'm expelling confidence in who I am. It means that I'm investing in myself, and that means that I'm giving permission for other people to invest in themselves, right? It means that I see, value, and express all that good inside of me, and I'm able to do the same for others. Especially for business owners and brands, like, you are a walking advertisement of your company, of your business, of who you are. So when you show up unapologetically, confidently, and like the real you, you're energetically and subconsciously encouraging others to do the same. And they will want what you have to offer because they will want to feel the same way that you feel about yourself, which is apparent because you have shown up in all the ways that day. Right? So dressing as your higher self means we align our style with who we truly are, and we are going to feel grounded. We're going to feel magnetic. We're going to feel powerful. And that is just the ripple effect of what that brings into the world is amazing. Here's a case in point. Dressing in alignment with my higher self, which AKA means dressing authentically, unapologetically, and exactly how I want to, is actually what propelled me into my business and like getting clients and helping people and aligning with my offers and my skill sets. A friend of mine had posted some cool, she's a photographer and she was a contact of mine. She had posted some cool goddess photo shoots in the sand dunes. And I like saw one thing of them and I was like, I have to have that done. And so we talked about the meaning behind the shoot, which was connecting with and expressing my deep divine goddess energy. And I just intuitively picked out the clothing that I knew would make me feel empowered and sensual and amazing. And I started posting pics of that shoot pictured here. And people just were like, the feedback I got from that shoot was crazy. And this was before I had a business. I'd started a podcast, but I was just like running it. I didn't know what my skills were. I didn't know how I was going to help people. I didn't know how I was going to make income. And I started posting pictures of this and people kept giving me feedback and all of them just kept saying, I really want you to style me. I really want you to style me. I really want you to style me. And I was confused because I don't like to, quote, traditionally style people. I've actually done that in the past because people have asked me. And what I found is that they're not comfortable. They're not wearing the clothes they want to, or they have a lot of inner work they need to do, which is what I help people do. And so after a while of realizing this, I was like, I get it because I'm not a traditional stylist. I won't box anyone in. I won't make you follow specific rules. I don't tell you, well, you're a body shape this, so you need to wear this, and your skin tone is this, and so you should wear this color. It's none of that, right? And so what I noticed is that women didn't actually want me to tell them what to wear. They didn't actually want to look like I did. So many of my friends, they don't want to wear the clothes I'm wearing in these pictures, right? But they wanted to feel as good in their bodies and their clothes as I very obviously did in mine. And I did. In this photo shoot I took, I was crying. We were out there for hours, just me and this friend. It was beautiful. I had like really deep spiritual moments and all of that energy was captured on camera. And that's what helped me figure out, oh, I am a stylist, but I have a very unique approach to it. And this is how I'm going to help women. And so we get caught in this disempowering trap and we dress for others instead of dressing for ourselves. And I apologize for the blinking. I don't know how to turn that setting off. In common ways we disconnect from our true style is we are dressing to fit expectations like family expectations, cultural expectations, or just like societal trends of who says what's in. We play small or we hide behind neutral, safe choices that don't fit us. We let fear of judgment hold us back. And these are all examples of things I've heard women say my whole life and are still saying. And the way to get out of this is to move from external validation to just true self-expression. And the key message here is that your style should feel like you, not a costume, not a compromise. It should be something you think about and think about it beautifully, like excitedly, like, oh my hell, my body is amazing. My soul is amazing. And I cannot wait to shine her out. so that everyone will see. And you know that when you put on something that aligns like that and you look in the mirror and you feel that light just up in your body, you know that that is powerful, right? So here are some simple ways to help you step into your empowerment style and really take style and fashion, which long has been since judged as vain or superfluous. It's really a tool of empowerment. The first thing we can do is really tune into our daily energy. We're going to ask ourselves before we get dressed, how do I want to feel today? And we're going to choose like the right colors and the textures that match that energy. For example, I'm wearing red because red is bold and it's visceral and it's stimulating and it's aggressive. And it really is one of the power colors. And I wanted to feel that way while I'm presenting. I love wearing bold red when I present. Soft fabrics for ease, right? Structured pieces for deep confidence. Like there's something that's unique to everyone and what's going to help you feel. And there are energetic principles to everything we wear. 2, we're going to throw out the rules. Okay. We're going to step out of our shoulds and we're going to tune into desire. And don't you love that word, desire? It's like, it evokes like a sensual feel, which I love. And it's okay. It's okay. We should be desiring things. Desires are beautiful, right? We're going to stop dressing based on outdated rules. I should wear this because, right? And we're going to start asking ourselves, do I love this? Does it make me feel like my highest self? If those are yeses, then it's a yes. And if it's a no, it's a donate, right? Or a thrift or a hand-me-down to someone else who maybe that is a yes for. The third thing we're going to do is really embody your future self now. So like with me here, just take a minute. And I really want you to like close your eyes. You can take a deep breath and visualize your most confident, radiant self. That girl who is not fearful, who's got everything she's asked for in life. She's fabulously wealthy. She's in a whatever kind of relationship she wants to be. And she wants for nothing. What is she wearing? Right? If there were no limitations, which there's not actually, what is she wearing? And why are you stopping yourself from wearing that now? I know we could go back to that slide where there are all the things. I don't have anywhere to wear this. All feels so stupid and out of place. I've had so many people say to me like, well, where would I wear that? Out grocery shopping? And I'm like, yeah, wear it out grocery shopping. Does it make you feel amazing? Wear it out grocery shopping and then see what happens because you chose to do that. Because do you know how many times I've been stopped and made friends and made new business contacts and gotten great deals because I've been wearing something that I feel so lit up in and my energy is like through the roof, magnetic and attracting? Yeah, we're going to do that and see what happens. If you want to be powerful, make yourself powerful because you actually have the power to do that. And I've said the word power a lot. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one item this week that represents that girl who's not afraid, that girl that loves herself, that girl that knows her value and her goddess inside, and wear it. Find a place to wear it. If you don't want to wear grocery shopping, don't. Go take yourself on a date and see what happens. So style really is one of the best tools for self-trust, power, and authentic expression. I really do feel like it's the one area we get tripped up on. And it's the one thing that making a change will have like a huge impact on your life. And so here's the reflection for you. What's one small change you can make in your style that will help you step into your most empowered self? Here are some suggestions. Will it be starting your day with an intention-based outfit? Like before getting dressed, are you going to ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? Confident, playful, powerful, right? And we're going to choose one piece and it can be based on fabric or silhouette or color, ideally all, but choose one. And that reflects that energy. 2, maybe it's going to be you wear one piece that feels like your future self. You're going to think of that radiant, confident version of you and figure out what she would wear. And you're going to pick one item. Maybe it's like a bold blazer or it's jewelry or it's your shoes or it's a scarf or a shirt or dress or whatever it's going to be. And wear that. Or you're going to add like a power color to your look. Identify a color that makes you feel strong and radiant and magnetic, right? I already talked about red. I mean, I teach a lot on color theory and there's such cool things there, but like, white for clarity and gold for abundance and blue for soothing and trust and green for rejuvenation. And incorporate that, whether it's in clothing, accessories, or like even your lipstick. Or you're going to upgrade one daily staple. Swap out an everyday piece for an elevated version that makes you feel good and empowered. Like replacing your worn out leggings with maybe some stylish wide leg pants, or switch out your old tote for like a chic structured bag. Whatever it is for you, there's no rules, right? Or you're going to create like a no compromise style rule. You're going to choose one personal style value that you'll never sacrifice again. Example, like I only wear things that feel amazing on my body. And I know, or maybe that's your rule, or your rule could be I no longer dress to blend in. Like whatever it is for you, come up with it. And let that guide your shopping and your styling choices moving forward. And so I would really encourage you to experiment with your wardrobe this week. And I'd love it if you reached out to me and let me know how it goes and tag me on social media or whatever you'd like to do. Thank you so much. This has been so wonderful, and I hope you feel empowered and can use your wardrobe and your style to feel even more empowered.
Life doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes the journey feels heavy. But our next speaker is here with a word of reflection and real talk to remind us you have what it takes to keep going. Tiffany Kelly is a dynamic voice of empowerment who equips women to walk in their truth and own their story. As a speaker and mentor, she pours into others with messages centered on self-worth, healing, and the power of authentic expression to create a life of meaning. Today, Tiffany brings a heartfelt word from her own perspective, an honest reminder that no matter what life throws at you, you can rise, you can heal, and you can thrive. Her words will challenge you to reflect, reset, and keep pushing forward with purpose. So get ready to be encouraged, strengthened, and seen.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. Well, some may ask why I'm here speaking. Probably no one more than myself. Recently, I realized that titles, degrees, and all the other labels that help define who we think we are, well, oftentimes, those really aren't the story of who we are. Life isn't a competition where there's only one winner. Thing is, he who dies with the most toys really doesn't win a dang thing, except maybe a trip back to do it again. The simple lessons were lost along the way. Life is a team effort, and by helping your fellow sister or brother, we can all win. The only person I'm really competing against is myself, and the goal is to be better today than I was yesterday, and forgive myself when I might not hit that goal. Each new day, I'm able to wake up and show gratitude for another chance. I am starting off on the right foot by showing up and giving my best, irregardless if it's at a job I may not like or for something I love and have total passion for. By doing that, I am becoming the woman I can look in the mirror and be proud of. Sometimes we might not always get that validation we desire from others. So it is in those times that I can tell myself, hey, job well done. You did great, or you look fabulous. Everyone has within them the ability to be a hero, to save a life, or to be more than we ever thought possible. It starts in the little things. The smile we give for a stranger who may be at their last straw. The nice words for a tired cashier working a double, wondering why she even bothers anymore. Saving a life is most often just reaching your hand down into the darkness and grabbing whoever is willing and ready to climb out. Not big acts of bravery like we see on the screen. See, these ripple effects can make a tsunami in life and love's bigger theme. That's why I know I'm able to stand beside any other and hold my head high. Because I know where I come from and how far I've came and what it took for me to get here today. Tomorrow is still just a promise. And I've made lots of ripples. Only time will tell how far they will go.
What if the key to changing your reality started with changing your mindset? Our next speaker is here to guide us on how understanding your thoughts and yourself can shape the outcomes you experience in every area of life. Becca Stackhouse-Morson is the founder of Stacked Intent, a certified family life educator, yoga teacher, and women's self-defense coach. With a deep knowledge of human development and wellness, Becca helps individuals reconnect with their most authentic selves through self-awareness, intentional living, and holistic strategies that support every life season. Today, she's here leading us in a transformative workshop presentation that explores how mindset matters, because the way you think about yourself, your circumstances, and your future can reshape your reality. So get ready to realign your thoughts, renew your mindset, and reclaim your power. Please welcome the grounded, insightful, and intentional Becca Stackhouse-Morson.
Hello, everybody. I am excited to be here today as one of your presenters. I am here to motivate you to discover a life that you truly adore and love every single day by getting a real deep understanding of your authentic self. So welcome to the Empower Her Step virtual conference, and I am so excited, and I look forward to sharing some of my ideas with you. These are just a few things just to give you a little bit more about who I am as Becca. The pictures that you see are just some of my favorite things. I love lavender. I love lighthouses. The third picture is I love to travel, and then I like to be around water. So those are just a few things more about me that you heard from my bio. If you scan the QR code that you see in front of you, it will take you to just all the resources that Stacked Intent has to present to you. So we're going to jump in first to personal growth and development. My journey personally for personal growth, it's been a continuous of evolving, and it has shaped as my life has transitioned. The most significant elements, a lot of times, it's our inner dialogue. It's about what our current state is, what has inspired us, and ultimately, it is who you are as a soul individual. And it is what takes charge of your personal growth and influencing your daily lifestyle and the visions that you have for yourself. And so what I found with that personal growth is it really starts with that inward look and that looking at yourself with that inner dialogue first. And that's really one of those important parts of personal growth. It's also that there's various dimensions of our personal growth and our development. And that can be from truly nurturing what qualities inspire our every single day. Beginning by establishing clear goals that align with what your vision are across different areas can really help you in your life, as your career, with your relationship, through your health, and so much more throughout your life. If you've got that relationship and goals aligned, it's going to help a lot. You may also want to start to focus gradually on some expansion in aspects of yourself, but keep in mind during this journey, it's not a quick journey in your personal growth. It's not in your development. It's just one of those things that might take several months. It might come over years as you reach what your desired destination is, as you continue to learn along the way. But we do have to remember when we're going through our personal growth and our development that there are twists and turns that become a part of our life and a part of our process. And it's just staying committed to what you want that roadmap of your life to look like. And that's what becomes really important. And it's being sure that when you've made mistakes, to be able to pause, reflect on what those mistakes might be, and be able to see some insight from yourself in that. And most importantly, it's always being willing to learn and enhance what your knowledge and your skills are. That's really going to help you grow in your personal growth and as you continue to develop and find those ways in that aspect. And then when we talk about leadership and influence, leadership to me has so many different ways, and we all kind of have a different definition of how we view leaders. But leadership has few ways that we can look at it and define it. This is through the action of leading a group of people or an organization, and it's the state or position of being a leader. Leadership is one of those things that also involves elements of influence that are tied to our essential characteristics. It is a journey to discover who you are authentically, and there are several key traits that play a significant role in fostering what your personal growth is as you're in that development of an ongoing leader. So I'm going to pause and ask you a question. What are characteristics that you recall from a good leader? Now that you have a few of those in your mind, we also can learn what are some characteristics that you recall from somebody that was a bad leader. So some of those traits that you might have thought about when you were thinking about a good leader could be communication, building trust, collaboration, somebody that empowers, somebody that's self-aware, a decision maker. So when we talk about communication, it's somebody that can show through different ways, but the key thing there is to be sure that you're being an active listener in conversations and we're not just waiting to respond. It's also being able to build trust. There was a Harvard Business Review study that shows the effective leaders have trust, and that's a key part of their leadership. Collaboration is one of those other aspects that becomes so important of being able to be creative is for everyone to be able to give the space to use their abilities in collaboration. It's also being able to empower. Effective leaders give their team members or partners or friends that feeling of being empowered. They provide the autonomy that they need for the opportunity to grow. So they might give you a task, or you might give somebody a task, and then you give them the space to be able to do it. Good leaders are self-aware because they are able to go inward in aspects and they really help understand themselves. And they're able to recognize what their own strengths are. But on the important side of that, and the flip side, they're able to recognize what their weaknesses are. Decision making. That one's important. A good leader is able to make decisions, and it's a trait that they have. Leaders that can have human error of just picking somebody due to how they like it, they like their idea better, or they just like the person better. But a good leader is able to incorporate the ideas without bias, and they're able to look at it even if it's able to debate or challenge an idea during the decision-making process. When we talk about building confidence and resilience, it becomes important. And there are 3 C's that we can look at for building that resilience. But in the space that you are building your confidence and your resilience, it takes you time to focus in on your growth and your mindset. And we've been talking about this. And then setting realistic goals, practicing self-compassion, or in my case this year, I've really been focusing on self-acceptance and building this resilience side. And even building your social connections becomes important. But as you are building your resilience, you could always focus on those 3 C's. And those 3 C's are communication, control, and challenge. Communication is these people who are able to communicate their lives and their goals. These individuals are able to do it in their personal life, but they're also able to translate it into their professional. So they're able to put it in both. You're able to have control of what's going on and what you are able to spend your time doing. And then challenges, these people view any difficulty or bump in the road just as a challenge, as well as they look at their failures or their mistakes as lessons. So they're able to take the bad with the good and turn it into a learning ability. These are the elements that, according to research, they're essential for you to build that time with yourself. As you're building the resilience, it's learning to relax, it's learning to be aware, it's learning from those failures and mistakes to using something like SMART goals, and it's even being flexible. If you've never heard what a SMART goal is, it's being smart, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So SMART gives you 5 steps to really making your goals become a lot more actionable. As you are striving to overcome the challenges and as you're growing and strong, these experiences become very vital on our life's journey. And while you're navigating through these obstacles, you are developing resilience and you're setting realistic goals that can be broken down into some manageable steps. By focusing on being present and fostering that positive mindset, you're able to learn and seek the support that you need in life. Always remember that embracing a growth mindset is going to aid you in moving forward through each of the stages in your journey as you move forward in life. Now, empowering you to achieve your dreams. This is so important. And so I hope that you are able to really see that empowering yourself is really looking inward. It's really learning to hear your voice before you hear everybody else's. It's learning to have that relationship with yourself that is healthy and it's positive and it's good. That's learning to, even in the days that aren't great, to love something about your every single day. I am here to help you be empowered, that you are capable to achieve your goals so that you are one in charge of the aspects of your life. But first, you have to know what your goals are. So you've got to sit down with yourself and you have to reflect on what you really want your goals to be. And SMART goals help you really make those achievable. And be okay with the changing over time or your journey being a different path. Have any of you looked back over 5 years and you may not be in the place that you thought you would be? I'm a little bit there, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that your goals are still unachievable. It just might be on a different path or in a different time than you had originally thought it was going to be. One of the biggest ways to help you achieve your goals is starting with not letting yourself vanish. And this can definitely be one of those things that is easier said than done, but it is so important to remember who you are and allow yourself to evolve and change. None of us are the same today as we were 10 years ago. And so if you can incorporate these and learn to change with the process and the times, you'll be great. So this can come through nurturing a healthy self-relationship. And when we hear relationships, sometimes romantic is where we go. But relationship goes so much beyond that and goes into you. It starts with you. It starts with your relationship with yourself. So you can do this by focusing on what makes you unique. What makes you you? What makes your finances independent? Even if you share them with a partner, you can still have some financial independence. Having established healthy boundaries that you have to respect just as much as anybody else is going to. It's also learning the art of self-love. Self-love becomes so important when you want to build an empowering self. Respect for your personal relations and balance. These are just 6 areas that I found through a question of how do you not let yourself vanish, that are common threads that people have either allowed themselves to vanish or that's how they've kept themselves through life changes, achieving goals, all these different aspects. So you are important, which in turn, once you have achieved some of this, what your goals are, you'll be able to find what's right in front of you. And I encourage you to find the ways that you fill your soul and that you love you. And you are building even in the middle of a challenge so that you can build some of that resilience we talked about, build some of that growth, and really learn to love who you are. So today, I hope that you've taken away a spark of motivation to truly explore your most authentic self and leading to a deeper understanding that you can cultivate each day with. Thank you for joining me today.
Sometimes the very moments that feel like setbacks are actually the start of something sacred, a pruning process meant to prepare you for greater purpose. Our next speaker knows this truth firsthand. Catalina Cortez is a passionate advocate for faith, purpose, and young adult empowerment. A senior at Midwestern State University, she's studying psychology with a minor in sociology, entering her 4th year as a student athlete on the women's basketball team, and serving as a board member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. With plans to pursue law school and a future rooted in truth and transformation, Catalina boldly encourages others to strengthen their relationship with God and recognize how self-beliefs can either limit or launch their purpose. Today, she's here to share a heartfelt word of encouragement, reminding us that adversity is not the end, it's a divine opportunity to learn, grow, and help others through your journey, because in God's hands, the pruning leads to fruitfulness. Please welcome the courageous and purpose-driven Catalina Cortez.
Well, hello guys. My name is Catalina Cortez, and I just want to start by saying that I am so thankful for the opportunity to be able to speak at this virtual conference. And I want to thank all of you guys who are watching for just listening to what I have to say and listening to something that the Lord has really put on my heart to share. And so before I begin, I just want to say a little bit about myself. I am from Lubbock, Texas, and I'm entering into my senior year of college at Midwestern State University, and I am a psychology major with future aspirations to go to law school and pursue a career in law. And one of the most impactful parts of my journey is actually that I've been a college athlete for all 4 years of my college experience. I am on the women's basketball team, and it has been something that has helped shape and mold me into who I am today. And I'm just so excited for the opportunity to be able to speak to you guys. So I want to start by asking you guys a question. Have any of you guys ever experienced a season in your life where you were working so hard to achieve a specific goal and you were doing all of the right things? You were being disciplined, you were being consistent, but it seems like no matter how hard you worked or how disciplined you were, that you just constantly faced challenges and maybe even some disappointment and discouragement. Well, what if I told you that all of those moments were necessary in order for you to grow? That just because you aren't seeing direct results doesn't mean that you are doing anything wrong. I want to introduce you guys to something that I like to call the pruning process. And I'm bringing up this concept because I feel like the last couple years of my life have been a story of personal growth and development. And what I mean by that is I feel like the season in my life that I'm currently walking through has kind of just been this huge pruning process. And so the pruning process is commonly referred to in terms of gardening, and it's the selective removal of certain parts of a plant that may be dead or broken in order to prevent disease from spreading into the plant. And so what does this do for the plant? It improves its health and its structure and its overall appearance. And if you look up pruning process in Google, it'll tell you that it involves making cuts to encourage desirable growth patterns and remove unwanted or detrimental parts. And so essentially, in order for a plant to grow, it has to experience a pruning process. And I bring this up because for a lot of us, and I know certainly for myself as well, that this is our story right now. And it often carries a negative connotation because it doesn't always feel super great, right? It doesn't feel good to have to cut off old, unhealthy habits and replace them with new, healthier habits. And it doesn't always feel good to have to let go of toxic relationships or toxic cycles that may no longer serve you anymore in your life. And what I've come to realize, though, and what I've come to learn is that if you embrace the pruning process and you allow yourself to be pruned, that you are actually allowing yourself to be open to new things and be filled up with new things. And so by allowing yourself to be removed from certain environments and allowing yourself to detach from past hurts and past wounds and old lies, that you are actually making room for new opportunities and new perspectives, new relationships, and really just new beginnings in general. And so I'm a Christian, and so a lot of this season of my life of the pruning process has been viewed through a spiritual perspective. And so I'm going to read a little something from the Bible. Jesus tells us that in John 15, 1 through 2, he states, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." So sometimes in life, the Lord allows us to experience trials and hardships, not because we deserve it and not because we're doing anything wrong, but because it is shaping us and molding us into who we should become in Christ. And so I'm 21 years old, and I'm already starting to learn that growth and development is an ongoing process. I'm beginning to understand that growth and development is something that you will never really truly achieve, right? You're not going to hit this exact moment where you hit the ceiling of growth. And whether that be socially, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, we are all always changing and evolving, especially as we experience life. We get older and we get wiser and we get stronger, and we begin to realize that our personal growth and development is not a matter of reaching a final destination, but it's a matter of putting one foot in front of the other and taking one step at a time. And so something that is so important about this journey is that the journey of growth and development is not only marked by our pruning processes, but it can also be propelled by our successes. And so as we achieve, we begin to realize our strengths and our weaknesses and our limitations, and we discover what we truly believe about ourselves. And all of this is essential to our growth, not only as human beings, but as women especially. So for me, my story of personal growth and development thus far actually had to begin with being stripped down of things that I valued so much at the time, but were actually holding me back. And it brought me to this place of complete humility and complete reliance on God. And so in a season of my life where I thought I should be reaping the goodness that I had sown, and I thought that I should be bearing the fruit of all the hard work that I put in, was actually becoming a season of losing some relationships and losing some friendships and feeling completely overlooked at the time in my sport. And I battled for a long time with my own mental health because all of these events kind of took place at the same time, and it contributed altogether to an even deeper rooted feeling of self-doubt and not being good enough, and that I would never be good enough, and that I didn't deserve the things that I was working hard for. And all of that could not be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, I grew so much from this season of my life. I learned that I was striving for approval and acceptance and validation from others that I could only receive and get from the Lord. And I began to notice the sinful patterns in my life, and it was hard. It was hard to have to exchange old unhealthy habits for the new healthier ones. And I had to learn how to take my thoughts captive and rewire them to thoughts of life and positivity. But I came out of this pruning process knowing that my worth is not based on my performance, and that my past mistakes and my past failures don't define who I am. And while all of these things can work together to help develop me and grow me into who I'm meant to be, they do not define who I am. And probably one of the most important developmental patterns that I learned throughout this pruning process and throughout this season of my life was that I no longer let my circumstances or my disappointment change the way I view my God, but I let the way I view my God change the way I view my circumstances and my disappointments. And it's always amazing when I can succeed and I can develop as a leader from encouraging experiences, and I can grow as a person from positive experiences of achievement. But even through the hard times, even through the hard moments, my mindset has shifted to, wow, my God must be up to something again. My God must be shaping me and molding me and strengthening me and growing me so that I am ready to walk into these new opportunities, and so that I am ready to walk into these new relationships and these new beginnings. And what I want to say to all of you guys who are watching this video is that personal growth and development looks different for everyone. Okay, just the way I have my story, all of you guys have a story, and everyone's story is different. Within their stories, everyone moves at their own pace in life. And so whether you're in a season where you're growing emotionally, socially, physically, or spiritually, I want to encourage you guys that we are all a work in progress, and that in itself is something to be so proud of. That whether your growth is happening quietly, or your growth is happening loudly, or your growth happens in small steps or in large steps, that what truly matters is that you keep showing up. That whether you choose to make a better choice than you did last time, or you choose to walk away in peace instead of reacting out of anger, or you choose to finally face that fear that has been holding you back and that you have been avoiding your whole entire life, that you understand that these moments of growth, big or small, are what shape us into who we are. And so I challenge everyone who is watching to embrace your journey, embrace the good, but also embrace the pruning processes, and know that it's not about this milestone of achieving completeness, but it's about a lifelong process of learning and becoming who we're meant to be. And so that's really all I have to share with you guys. But I just want, like, this is my story, and I hope that what I have learned and what I have shared can resonate with you guys on the other side of the screen. And I just want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and just commit to being a lifelong learner, right? It's an ongoing journey. It's a never-ending process of growth and development. And so, yes, I encourage you, don't give up and don't lose hope, but keep your mind focused on showing up and learning and getting better and growing. So thank you.
How you show up in the world, in the boardroom, in ministry, and in your daily life is your brand. It's more than a resume or an online profile. It's the message you carry and the legacy you leave. Our next speaker understands this deeply. Keri Pettis is the Director of Compliance for Buckner Children and Family Services and brings with her a wealth of knowledge from the worlds of nonprofit leadership, ministry, and family life. With a master's in public administration and a teaching role at the Potter's House School of Ministry, Keri is passionate about helping women live purpose-filled lives that honor God and leave lasting impact. Today, she's here to speak on the power of self-branding, not just professionally, but personally. She'll show us how clarity, consistency, and calling come together to help us represent who we are and who we are in every space we enter. So get ready to reflect on your identity, refine your image, and walk boldly in your influence. Please welcome the wise and inspiring Keri Pettis.
Hello, and welcome to probably the most powerful conference you will experience in 2025. My name is Keri Pettis. I get the honor and privilege of just pouring into you and just hoping that you receive something from my presentation on today. So we're just going to talk about the power of personal brand. I think this is so relative to us as women because we wear so many hats in our life. But aside from that, we are also always worried about what others think. And to some degree, that should be relative to us. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about what parts of it is relative, what we should consider, because we shouldn't be bogged down with the weight of what everybody thinks, but just be more concerned about our own brand, both personal and professional. So we're going to talk about it and what they believe is important. It is so important. So again, my name is Keri Pettis, and I am the owner of KP Visionary Consulting. And I want to give you a little bit of an overview of what we'll talk about. So I'll tell you a little bit more about myself. And then we're going to talk about personal brand versus professional brand. And then we're going to talk about your UVP. You probably heard this at work. You probably heard about value proposition, but we're going to talk about your unique value proposition. And then we're going to move into your self-audit. How do I audit myself? How do I get an idea, test my temperature to see where I am within my personal and professional brand? So we're going to also dive into that. And then we're going to have some final tips and takeaways. So again, I really hope that you gain some valuable insight with me on today. Just a little bit about me. This is my beautiful family. This is my husband and my son. This is an older picture. My son is now 11 years old, so he's a bit taller than that. He's actually up to my shoulders. We already know he's going to be taller than everyone in the house, but this is my beautiful family. They mean everything to me. They're a part of my motivation and inspiration and a part of my brand. And so I am the Director of Compliance for International Social Services Organization, where my responsibility is to ensure operational excellence and regulatory adherence, which makes sense in social services, right? All goes together. I have my master's in public administration. I am certified in urban nonprofit management. And here recently, I passed my board certification to be a corporate compliance and ethics professional. So I'm really excited to hold on to that certificate. I love the journey of learning. But again, that is a part. I'm telling you this because it is a part of my brand. I am passionate about building communities and fostering growth and success for all the organizations and the individuals that I get to work with. I try to bring a wealth of insight and expertise to everyone. And I also understand that I gain as well in those environments. So let's go ahead and get started. So, starting out, we're going to talk about personal brand versus professional brand. And then as we dig a little deeper, you're going to hear how the two impact each other. And then we're going to talk about everything else that I mentioned to you. So let's get right to it. So personal brand, your personal brand. What does this mean? Well, I found this definition to be very interesting because even though it is my personal brand, there's a lot of others involved in it. And so it says it is a unique combination of skills, experiences, values, and personality that defines how you present yourself to the world. It is the perceptions others, the perception that others have of you, both personally and professionally, based on your actions, communication, and reputation. So it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what others think. Now, again, that's to an extent, that's beyond judgment. This is within the facts of who I am. We're talking about facts, not assumptions, not judgments, but facts. And so what shapes your personal brand? I know you're thinking, well, if I'm supposed to pay attention to it, what helps me shape this brand? Thanks for asking. So your values, your beliefs, your expertise, your skills, how you interact with others online and offline, the way you communicate and present yourself. Because too often we communicate to others and not care what others think. But how does that mindset impact our personal brand? This is your consistent advocate that can attest to what people say you are and who you truly are, which should almost always measure up the same. Another reason personal brands are damaged or at risk of being damaged is because of company we keep. We decide to be around individuals that probably don't really complement our personal brand. We look at building relationships with places that are comfortable, and that may not represent our personal brand. So just like you, others have a brand, whether they are working to build it or not. They have a brand. Many times we reference brand with reputation, but reputation is just a piece and a part of a brand. That is not only a part of your brand, but it's a part of the influence of a person's decisions, their actions, and their interactions. Being mindful of the spaces that you're in, even when you know you don't belong, can put your brand at risk of not representing who you truly are. It is real easy to ball up a piece of paper. I like to give this reference. It's real easy to ball up a piece of paper, but it is really hard to take that piece of paper and make it straight and flat again. The same concept is relative to your intentionality and being aware of how you're representing your brand and the work that it may be required of you if you are misrepresented or your brand is misrepresented. So just keep that in mind. It is so easy. I was having a conversation the other day, and one of the things we talked about is you don't get a second chance at a first impression. It is so true. And so that's the same concept that falls in line with the balling up of the paper. Soon as you ball up that paper, the shape that it's taken is completely different. In order to get it back to its original state, it takes a lot of work. And then even still, it doesn't look the same. Now, by far, am I not asking you to be perfect? But what I am asking you to be aware and mindful of how you are presenting your personal brand in the areas that you control. So next, we're going to talk about professional brand. Professional brand is the distinct identity and reputation you establish in your career or industry. It reflects your expertise, work ethic, leadership, style, and value you bring to your profession. Your professional brand is how colleagues, employers, and industry peers perceive you based on your skills, accomplishments, and professional interactions. Again, it's your professional brand, but yet again, it is consumed with the perception of others in that industry. And this is important. Perception is a very unique word because we can't control perception. There's nothing we can do, but we can influence it. And this is the definition that I found for perception. Perception is the way an individual interprets, understands, and makes sense of the world based on their experiences, beliefs, and senses. It is a subjective process influenced by personal background, emotions, culture, and external influences. So you can influence a perception, but you can't control it. And so it also goes on to say, in the context of us talking about branding, being a part of our brand, being aware of our personal and professional brand, says perception refers to how others see and interpret your personal or professional identity, shaping your reputation and influence. I remember another conversation another time, and we were talking about culture, just the word culture, just how often we use it, whether it's a professional setting, a personal setting, it may be a religious setting, it is a word that is universal. And we were thinking, what can change a culture? And it's like, you can't change it, but you can influence it. And so we just talked about influencing culture to become healthy and how you do that. And you do that within the parameters of what you control. And you control your professional brand. And so this is something, again, you can't control, but considering what shapes a person's perception, but you do have the opportunity to influence it with how you brand yourself professionally. So here's a couple of key elements of a professional brand, or key elements in a professional brand that you should consider. The first one is your area of expertise and industry reputation, the quality of your work and contributions, the quality of your interactions with others, your leadership, communication, and collaboration style, your online presence. Now, that one is really huge because I think all too often do we not take into account our online presence. When we're interacting with friends, when we're interacting with others, we don't think about it. We're just interacting. But we're going to talk more about that because I want us to understand how having that and that be a part of your personal brand, how it flows over into this area. And so another part is your professional values and ethics also are key elements of your professional brand. Your expertise, so talent development, professional development, personal development, getting additional certifications, really knowing your industry, really understanding it. Those are all a part of your professional brand. Stretching yourself to be deeper into whatever it is your role is, or you feel like your purpose is, being intentional with diving deeper and understanding it and becoming an expert at your level, not in comparison to anyone else, because we're talking about your brand. I like to talk, so hence probably why I got asked to do this. But I was having another conversation because I have a lot of those, and it was actually last night, and we talked about how individuals struggle with their brand. And it is because we try to mimic the brand of others. So we were talking about different artists and things like that, and how a lot of our young folks are mimicking their brand and they think we're trying to tell them who to be. And we're trying to tell them who not to be because that's just not them. That's not the brand that you're striving for. Whatever brand you put out, it is telling the world who you are and what you have to offer. So it is so important that your brand complements what you feel like your life drive or motivation or your life's goal is. It matters so much that it matches that. And that's why your brand can also be evolving. It can constantly grow and be developed. You hear people say things like, I'm building my brand. This is something I'm doing right now. I'm building my brand. I'm trying to figure out how can I position myself and present myself in a way where people understand who I am and what I have to offer. And when opportunities come, they will consider me because my brand has been consistent in both my personal and professional life. So this is where I want to get to it. Do the two impact the other? Will the two ever, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say ever impact the other? Yes. Personal brand absolutely impacts professional brand. The two are interconnected. While your personal brand reflects your values, personality, and how you present yourself in everyday life, your professional brand is how you are perceived in your career or industry. So, how do I even know what to do? How do I know ways that my personal brand impacts my professional brand? What are some gauges I can look at, Keri? Well, again, thank you for asking. So, authenticity and credibility. If your personal values align with your professional actions, people are more likely to trust and respect you. So I love the saying when I tell people, if no matter where you meet me, I am consistently the same person at all times. And that is because I work really hard on my brand. If ever my two worlds meet, I want them to be able to say, that is the Keri I know. And so that's why that's so important. Reputation and influence. It is so important for reputation and influence because your personal behavior online and offline affects how colleagues, employers, and clients perceive your professionalism. So even if you are online and you are doing something that is completely irrelevant to your career or your work or whatever, it still is helping individuals identify who you are. So they're looking at it like this must be how this person is professionally as well. So with your personal and professional brand, I know you're wondering, will the two ever, it's supposed to say ever and not every, impact the other? Absolutely. Yes, your personal brand absolutely impacts your professional brand. The two are interconnected. While your personal brand reflects your values, personality, and how you present yourself in everyday life, your professional brand is how you are perceived in your career or industry. So when you think about those things, you have to think about a couple of areas that are being considered when it comes to interconnecting your personal and professional brand. One of them is authenticity and credibility. If your personal values align with your professional actions, people are more likely to trust and respect you. Another one is reputation and influence. We mentioned this before. We know the power of influence, and we know how reputation is important as we continue to build our brand. And it says your personal behavior, both online and offline, affects how colleagues, employers, and clients perceive your professionalism. And so, even if your effort in that moment has absolutely nothing to do with what you do for a living, they are still going to take that and use it to give some type of perception or judgment or assumption of who you are professionally. Networking and opportunities. Personal connections often lead to professional opportunities, which is so true. That's why we network. That's why we connect. A strong personal brand can open doors for collaborations and career growth. One that's really big that I think we don't really talk a lot about because I guess in some regard people take it and they handle it in a way that is for their career and is professional, but a lot of people don't, or they try to combine the two, and that's social media presence. And so your online activity, your opinions and interactions can influence how you are perceived professionally. So, not many times will you hear the word opinions and professionally in the same sentence, but in this instance, when it comes to your brand, it is. And I'll tell people all the time, get a journal. You know, if you really need to vent some stuff out and get things out, get a journal. The world doesn't need to know everything. You just have to give them what's necessary. And so that's what I encourage people. When people say, well, it's my page, I can say what I want. That is the most valid point ever. But what is also valid is how people experience you online is how they think you will be professionally if you ever was to use that as an avenue to build your profession, your business, your brand. And then workplace culture fit. Employers consider personality and values when hiring or promoting, meaning your personal brand plays a role in career success. And maintaining alignment between both brands ensures consistency, builds trust, and strengthens your overall impact. One thing that happened here recently to me with brand, I serve at church and I'm a part of an amazing program where I help mentor young ladies. And so a part of the mentorship program for the older ladies is that they have to, which is like our seniors that are going to have like a big event at the end, they have to get volunteer hours. Well, my organization has a full department committed to volunteers and they need volunteers all the time. And these girls have mandatory volunteer. Now, these are two different parts of my life. My church life is very personal, and my work life, again, is very professional. And so I decided to merge the two worlds in that moment. And the individuals that got to meet a person that's over the volunteer department at my organization, they both could agree about the person that I am. If either one of them made a comment, they would each say, yes, that's Keri. No, that isn't Keri. And that's that consistency part. You want to make sure that both brands ensures consistency, builds trust, and strengthens your overall impact. And because of that, it builds an opportunity for my organization and this particular church to do different things together outside of knowing me, outside of me being involved. And that has recently happened. They reached out again. Hey, can we get back in contact? We want to do this. And they're forging their own relationship. And so that's why that's so important. And I had the opportunity to be a part of that connection. Now let's move on to your UVP. So what is your UVP? Your unique valuable proposition. This is an opportunity for you to place value on who you are. And you can even make a UVP statement, create one to say, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. This is how I want to be identified. So what is your UVP? What makes you stand out from others in the industry? It is a clear statement that includes a few of the following. What sets you apart? What is your power of storytelling in your brand? How can you make your life experiences relevant to whatever opportunity you're pursuing to help build your brand? What motivates you? What is your passion and purpose? What do you have to offer? What impact do you want to make? So here's some examples of a unique value proposition statement. One is, this is someone that is a public speaker or educator. I inspire and educate professionals by simplifying complex topics into actionable insights, ensuring learning is engaging and accessible to all. That is their value proposition. For an entrepreneur, I create innovative solutions that merge technology with social impact, helping businesses and communities thrive in a digital world. I think from that, you can see their passion. You can see what motivates them. They told you what they have to offer. They told you what sets them apart. And I think that this right here is a great foundation of building your own value proposition statement. So I challenge you to build your own value proposition statement. And how do you do that? You're like, how do I even start to define that? Y'all ask great questions. I got you. Identify your strengths and skills is the very first step. What are you naturally good at? What skills do you have that others recognize? Where you see there's a demand or a need? What feedback do you consistently receive? What do people tell you all the time? Oh, you're so good at that. You should do that. That's you. You're great at that. Let this person, or have you been volunteered for something? Ask Keri to do it. She's really good at that. Pay attention to those statements. The second step, determine your passion and purpose. What motivates you professionally? What impact do you want to make? What topic or causes do you feel strongly about? Step 3, assess your audience and industry needs. Who do you serve? We see here, we have our public speaker. They serve professionals that are in education. And we have our entrepreneur. They serve businesses and communities that want to thrive in a digital world. Who do you want to serve? What problems do you want to solve? How do you fill a gap in that industry? And then next, you want to differentiate yourself. That's the unique part of your value proposition. What do you offer that others don't? What makes your approach, expertise, or personality unique? How do your personal experiences shape your professional value? I remember when I started seeing everyone on social media and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, and they're like blowing up as influencers. Everybody was an influencer. And I thought, I need to be an influencer. What can I do to be an influencer? And then I started seeing things that people were doing on YouTube, pranks and all this stuff. And I was like, I like making people laugh, but that's not the type of laughter I like to encourage. Like, I'm not a prankster. Like, I don't want that to be a part of my brand. And then I saw other stuff that really didn't align with my values or my ethics. So I started thinking, who am I? What do I have outside of what I do every day in my 9 to 5? I have to have something unique about me. And it really started from the very first thing that I mentioned earlier. And the number one step was identify your strengths and skills. And I said, what feedback do you consistently receive? That is what pushed me towards being a consultant because of the feedback I consistently receive. People keep telling me, Keri, you can always find a solution. You're very good at breaking things down. And the more I listened to them, the more I found out where my passion sat, and I pushed towards that. And so that is something I want you to do. Work on your unique value proposition statement, and it's going to change over time. That is just a part of it because you evolve, you grow, you change. And so it's going to change, but it should develop even more. It shouldn't become less than, it shouldn't be a complete shift from who you are. So I encourage you to do that. So next and final, we have our self audit for professional and personal brand. So what is a self audit? I learned this last year, actually. And it's so funny because when the person said it to me, I thought, this is silly. But when I did it, it was very impactful. So a self audit helps you evaluate your brand, how your brand is perceived. It identifies strengths and weaknesses and create a plan for improvement. Below, well, this says below, but next to you, it's a step-by-step process to assess both your personal and professional brand effectively. So Google yourself. Google yourself. When you do a Google search, look for your social media presence. Look for if you're on any professional websites, if you're in any professional portfolios, and this gives you an opportunity to do your privacy settings. So you might be a person that enjoys, I don't know, going to bars with friends and you want to put it out, on your social media. Make sure your privacy settings reflect that profile is private because you don't want anyone to think that you're irresponsible, which may not be the case at all. But again, you only get one chance at first time impression. And so be mindful of your privacy settings on your social media accounts so that you can manage and kind of what people are receiving about you. Now, this does not give permission to be two different people, but this does acknowledge that we do live our own personal life. And we do live, in a world where we like to socialize and we like to get out and have fun and whatever that may be. And so I know people that are attorneys that just don't post like what they're doing and where they're going. It's not that they're hiding anything. It just doesn't align with how they want to be perceived for their brand because of who they serve and how they serve individuals. So here's some questions to ask yourself. What 3 words do I want people to associate me with? What 3 words? What skills, strengths, or expertise do I want to be known for? What impact do I want to have on others? How do I differentiate myself from others in my field? What is that? I said differentiate yourself in the value proposition. Well, Keri, how do I do that? Ask yourself these questions. What values are most important to me in my personal and professional life? Now, what I'm going to share with you next is what caught me off guard last year that I had to do that really set the tone for how I continue to build my brand. And this was a self-evaluation or audit by my peers. And these are some of the questions that I asked them. So you can ask colleagues, you can ask friends, you can ask mentors, family members, or whatever, but Ask them, what 3 words will you use to describe me? What do you think is my biggest strength? What areas do you think I could improve? What stands out about me professionally? So the first one again is, what 3 words would you use to describe me? The second one is, what do you think is my biggest strength? The next one is, what areas do you think I could improve? And then what stands out about me professionally? So look at that. Look at your work history. Look at your past performance evaluations or past jobs that you've had. If you've ever done some type of peer-to-peer review, look at all those things and look for reoccurring themes in what others say about your work ethic and your skills. You could even do an anonymous survey if you want to get, serious with it, and send an anonymous survey to individuals that you're close to through maybe Google Forms or something, and ask those questions so that you can continue to be intentional about building your brand. So next, let's talk about takeaways. This is hopefully a part where you look at it and you're like, yes, I'm so glad she got to this point because she gave a lot of great information, but I do want to make sure that I get the things that need to stick. So these are your takeaways. First thing that a lot of people will probably struggle with, because again, it's considering what other people think, is, what are people saying when you leave the room? What are people saying? Now, we can't control what people say, but what am I doing when I am in that space to influence what people are saying when I leave the room? I said it earlier, there's no second chance at a first impression. Your brand is your professional and personal roadmap to wherever it is that you want to end up. Whether it be personally or professionally, if you're pursuing marriage, if you're pursuing a spouse, if you're pursuing a promotion, whatever it is, these two, your brands, will be your roadmap. They're your guide to getting there. And this is something, when we talked about social media, I want to share this. Give the world what is necessary. Give to those you trust your space. So what I mean by that is, you give the world what's necessary for them to know. Nothing more. And then if you have more intimate things you want to share, give that to people that you trust. Allow them into that space. Don't put the world into that space. And then care to men, even if you don't understand. This right here takes some maturity, some stretching, some patience. So what I mean by this is, in the professional setting, even personal, care about the relationships that you have. Even if it ends up being a situation where it just doesn't work out well, it's not ideal. Still care to mend that, where there's a common understanding, because opportunities come in different ways, different forms. I've had people tell me about opportunities that we didn't see each other as being in each other's personal space, but it made sense for us to interact professionally. And so they brought an opportunity to me, and I'm like, thank you so much, because you have to care about every interaction and relationship you have when you're building your brand. No, you don't have poor boundaries, but you have to care to men, even if you don't understand. So because my brand is a perception, and a perception is something I can't change, but I can influence, if I show that I care to mend whatever their perception is, if it's not a healthy one, it then influences their perception of me. And then the last one is, your UVP, unique value proposition, is a living statement. It evolves as you grow in your career. Regularly refine it to reflect your latest skills, experiences, and aspirations. I hope on today that you were able to truly gather what it means to build your personal and professional brand, what it means to understand your value, what it means to do a self-audit and actually care what others are thinking, and how you can take that to really be a roadmap and a guide to where you want to be in life. Again, my name is Keri Pettis. I have enjoyed being able to present this content to you. You can reach me at info@kpvisionaryconsulting.com, or you can visit my website, which is www.kpvisionaryconsulting.com. Thank you again. And again, this was an honor.
Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what blueprint am I following in my life? Our next speaker invites us into that very question, offering personal reflection that helps us uncover the design God has uniquely crafted for each of us. Margret McKie is a marriage mentor, co-host of the Beyond I Do podcast, and co-author of Unlocking Forever, 10 Keys to a Successful Marriage Beyond the I Do. She's a trusted voice when it comes to building strong, faith-filled relationships, and she brings that same wisdom into conversations about life, purpose, and personal growth. Today, Margret shares her own journey, how understanding her life blueprint helped shape the choices she made, the love she nurtured, and the legacy she's building. Her story will challenge you to reflect, reframe, and realign with the divine plan uniquely written for you. So please welcome the grounded and grace-filled Margret McKie.
In 2021, I started therapy. I was getting close to 50, and I wanted to make some positive changes in my life. In my first session, I talked with my therapist. I shared with her that I wanted to be more disciplined overall. I wanted to stop procrastinating, improve my eating habits, all of these things that we start thinking about the older we get. Fast forward about 3 sessions in, I found myself talking about an incident from my childhood. And as I'm describing what's happening, and this was something that was very normal for me, I could see a shift in my therapist's facial expression. So I paused and I looked and I said, "Is there something wrong?" And she said, "I just can't believe that you came here to work on eating habits." Needless to say, it was that moment that I realized I had some more pressing issues. Hello, everyone. I am Margret McKie. And today I want to talk to you about your life's blueprint. So before going any further, I want to explain to you what I mean when I say your life's blueprint. Your life's blueprint consists of things that you were taught or that were modeled by your caregivers and your personal life experiences. Your beliefs, your behaviors, your expectations, how you show and receive love, how you deal with conflict, how trusting you are. Also, limiting beliefs, toxic patterns, and traumatic experiences that you've picked up along the way. For me, my life's blueprint started out fairly bleak. I was the only child in my household. I had both my mom and dad there. I witnessed addiction. I witnessed domestic violence. I was a victim of physical, emotional, mental, and sexual abuse. By the age of 14, I started heavily drinking. By the age of 15, I was smoking. I was promiscuous. I did some really reckless things throughout my teens and my early 20s. All of that changed in January of 1997 when my best friend and I decided that we would start dating. By the end of 1997, in December, we were married 1 week. We had our son the next week. And from then on, 1997 became the year it all changed. But for me, 1997 became the year that saved my life. So, in another therapy session, a couple of years down the road, my therapist and I are talking, and I am discussing my now adult children. I'm very frustrated with them. I am frustrated with the choices that they're making and how those choices affect their father and I. As I'm explaining these things to my therapist, she says, "You know, your children have been given a blueprint by you and your husband. just like you were given a blueprint by your parents. You decided that you did not like your blueprint, so you discarded it and created your own. Just like you don't have to accept the blueprint from your parents, your children do not have to accept the blueprint that you have given them. At first, my reaction was, well, I was frustrated because I still felt like I had given them, or we had given them, a really good blueprint, and they were just throwing it away. We did everything that they, whoever they are, tell us to do with our kids. We had a loving relationship. We liked each other. Our kids were involved in scouts and sports and all the things. But they still were not giving us the results that they said we should get. The more I thought about my therapist's response, I began to focus more on what that said about me versus what I felt it said about my kids. And I realized how empowering that statement was, how I had taken control of what was given to me, and I had decided that I did not like it. I decided that I wanted something different for my life, and I created my own blueprint. That blueprint that I created led to me being able to marry my best friend, have a 27-year relationship, 27 years and counting. We have raised 2 birth children, 2 adoptive children. I have had a very fulfilling 20-year career, and my husband and I are now creating a new venture that we hope to grow into something meaningful. That blueprint also led me to this moment where I am here sharing my story with you. So, what happens when you realize that the blueprint that you have been given no longer fits with the life that you want to create? For me, that awareness was scary. However, it was also exciting. See, this is the moment when you get to really think about what it is you want, the life that you want to lead, and how you'll accomplish that life. The pause between awareness and action is when transformation actually occurs. So when you get to this point, you need to start thinking about your blueprint, and is it still serving you to create the life that you would like to lead? Do you feel trapped in patterns that don't serve you? Are you a people pleaser? Do you operate and function in fear and guilt? All of these things that came along with you throughout life that may no longer serve you. Do you live by shoulds? This was a big one for me. I used to think about should have done this, I could have done this, or what would happen if I had done this. I had this craving and lust to go back to my past and redo things with the knowledge that I have now. Always looking back prevented me from really looking forward. And then finally, do you operate or feel guilt when your life doesn't match your expectations? This is another one that I've had a hard time with. I'm an over-planner. I am an overthinker. I try to plan things so that I solve problems before they happen, which is absolutely impossible. So once I created this plan and I execute the plan, if the expectation is not what I pictured in my head, I would get discouraged and stop. So that was something that I have had to work on in my blueprint to make improvements. So I want to talk to you about the 4 steps to redesign your blueprint to begin creating the life that fits you. The first thing to do is to really think about your blueprint. Think about those things that you want to get rid of, but also recognize that everything given to you was not negative. There are some things, even in the worst conditions, that you do want to keep. Next, and this is so important, give yourself permission to change. You're not bound by your parents' choices. At this stage in life, we are adults, we are grown-ups, and we get to make the choices. Remember that your past is just a chapter. It is not the whole book. Define what it is that you truly want, and this is the fun part. Be very intentional with what you want from your relationships, from your career, parenting, from yourself. And then surround yourself with people who support those things, but also people who have gone through what you've gone through and who are now where you would like to be. And then 4, own it. Give yourself credit for every single positive step that you make forward, and don't beat yourself up when things don't go your way. It's scary at first. Believe me, I mean that from experience. And it is also an ongoing process, and my therapist and I can attest to that. But the freedom that you experience once you start to create the life you want to live and walk in that is very much worth it. So my blueprint, once I started to create the life that I wanted to live, I have raised 4 amazing children who have taught me so much more about life than I have taught them. I have an amazing husband who supports me every step of the way, but also lets me know when I could have done things a little bit better. That little girl started out with a very bleak future, and she has created a blueprint, and she is a very proud, happy woman now. So my challenge to you, choose one thing that you carried that was given to you that you want to change. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a mind-blowing thing, but start small. Choose one thing that you would like to change. There's so much freedom that comes with creating the blueprint that gives you the ability to create the life that truly fits you. I ask that if any of this has resonated with you, you connect with me online. Let's work together. Let's share tools, share success stories, and share encouragement so that we can all create the blueprint that gives us the life that we want to live. Thank you.
Wow, what a journey. If your heart is anything like mine right now, it is full. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of the Empower Her Steps Virtual Conference 2025. Whether you joined us for a single session or soaked up every word all day long, you showed up for yourself. And that means everything. This movement isn't just about one day. It's about planting seeds that continue to grow in your life, your relationships, your purpose, and your community. And sis, don't forget, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be willing to take the next step. If this experience spoke to your soul, I want to personally invite you to help keep it going. Empower Her Steps is a nonprofit fueled by heart, purpose, and your support. Every dollar you give helps us reach more women, provide more resources, and host future conferences, just like this one. So if you're interested in donating and supporting this movement, I invite you to reach out to me directly. And if something in your spirit says, I want this in my city, then let's make it happen. I would love to help bring the Empower Her Steps experience to your area, whether it's a live event, workshop, or women's gathering. This vision was always meant to go beyond me. You can contact me at angelinamojica.cfle@gmail.com, or I invite you to text me or call 806-407-7656. Let's build something powerful together. Until next time, keep walking boldly, loving deeply, and showing up as the women God created you to be. With love and purpose, I'm Angelina Mojica, the founder of Empower Her Steps.